She counted $47 for her dying daughter. The volunteer watching was the ex-husband who left her pregnant 8 years ago, now worth $800 million. The $47 in Priya Sharma's hand represented three things: her daughter's pain medication for the next 2 days, grocery money until Friday, and the last shred of pride she had left before she'd have to do something desperate. She stood in the pediatric oncology wing of Boston Children's Medical Center at 11 p.m., counting crumpled bills for the third time, hoping the number would magically change. It didn't. Her daughter Anya needed $300,000 for experimental immunotherapy. Insurance had denied the appeal. Again. The hospital had given Priya 2 weeks to come up with at least $50,000 or Anya would have to rely on standard treatment, which gave her a 40% chance of survival instead of 85%. Priya had already sold her car, her furniture, her late grandmother's jewelry, and tomorrow she was meeting a buyer for her Mangalsutra, the sacred gold necklace her mother had placed around her neck on her wedding day 8 years ago. The wedding day when she'd married Rohan Malhotra, the brilliant, ambitious man who'd promised her forever and delivered exactly 6 months before abandoning her while she was 2 months pregnant. "Excuse me, are you okay?" Priya looked up, startled. A man stood in the hallway, maybe mid-30s, salt and pepper hair, kind eyes, wearing a gray cardigan over a volunteer t-shirt that read Samopa Volunteer. He was holding a children's book and looked genuinely concerned. "I'm fine," Priya said automatically, shoving the money into her scrub's pocket. "Just tired." "You're Anya's mother, right? Room 347. Priya's nurse instincts kicked in immediately, stranger knowing her daughter's name and room number. "How do you know that?" "I'm Ron. I volunteer here," read to the kids. "Anya's been telling me about butterflies and Bollywood for the past 3 weeks." He smiled gently. "She's an amazing little girl." Priya relaxed slightly. Several volunteers read to the pediatric patients, and Anya had mentioned Mr. Ron, who knew all the best stories. "Thank you for spending time with her. She loves the stories." "It's my pleasure. She reminds me." Ron stopped, his expression clouding. "She reminds me why I volunteer. To give kids hope when things are hard." Something about his voice tugged at Priya's memory, but she was too exhausted to place it. She'd been working triple shifts for 8 months, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. in pediatrics, 4 p.m. to midnight in the ER, and weekend doubles when she could get them. "Well, thank you. I should get back to her." "Of course. But ma'am, if you don't mind me saying, you look like you haven't eaten in a while. The cafeteria's closed, but I always keep granola bars in my locker. Can I get you one?" Priya felt tears threaten. When was the last time someone had offered her anything without wanting something in return? "That's kind, but I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're running yourself into the ground trying to save your daughter, and nobody should have to do that alone." The simple truth of it broke something in Priya. She wasn't fine. She was drowning. And this stranger's kindness was almost harder to bear than the cruelty of insurance companies and medical bills. "I appreciate your concern, but I really need to go." As Priya walked away, she felt Ron's eyes following her. Something about him was familiar in a way that made her uncomfortable, but she couldn't afford to think about it. She had bigger problems than mysterious volunteers. What Priya didn't know was that Ron was actually Rohan Malhotra, her ex-husband, CEO of Malhotra Tech, worth $800 million, and he just realized the struggling nurse he'd been worried about for 3 weeks was the woman he'd abandoned pregnant 8 years ago. Rohan stood frozen in the hospital hallway, his heart pounding so hard he thought he might pass out. It was Priya. His Priya. The girl he'd married at 27 when she was just 21, fresh out of nursing school, believing in love and happy endings. The woman he'd destroyed when he'd chosen his startup dreams over their unborn baby. He'd thought about her every day for 8 years. Wondered where she was, if she was happy, if she'd forgiven him. He'd sent the divorce papers from California, too much of a coward to face her in person. She'd signed them and sent them back with a note that still haunted him: "I hope your dreams make you happier than we did." Rohan had built his empire. Malhotra Tech now powered AI systems for half the Fortune 500 companies. He had money, power, influence. And he'd been miserable every single day since leaving Priya. That's why he'd started volunteering 3 years ago. Using the nickname Ron, wearing simple clothes, hiding his identity. He'd thought helping sick kids might ease the guilt of abandoning his own unborn child. Except now he realized, That child might not have been aborted like he'd assumed. If Priya was working here, if she looked this exhausted, this desperate. Rohan walked quickly to room 347 and looked through the window. A little girl lay in the hospital bed. Maybe 7 years old. Dark hair in 2 long braids. Brown skin a shade between his and Priya's. And eyes. Those eyes were Malhotra eyes, the distinctive hazel green that ran in his family. Rohan felt the world tilt. He had a daughter. Priya had kept the baby, raised her alone, and he'd never known. Priya returned to Anya's room to find her daughter awake, playing with the butterfly stickers the volunteers had brought. "Mama, you're back." "I'm always back, baby. How are you feeling?" "Tired. But Mr. Ron brought new stickers. Look, this one is a monarch butterfly. He says they migrate all the way to Mexico." "That's amazing, baby." "Mama, why are you sad?" Priya forced a smile. "I'm not sad. Just tired." "You're always tired. Are we running out of money again?" 7 years old and already worried about money. It broke Priya's heart. "Don't worry about that, baby. Mama's got it handled." "But I heard the doctor say the treatment costs a lot. And you sold Dottie's necklace last month. And your car. Mama, I don't want you to sell more things because of me." Priya pulled Anya close, breathing in that little girl smell of hospital soap and strawberry shampoo. "Anya, listen to me. You are worth everything. Every sacrifice, every hard day, every dollar. Don't ever think otherwise." "But what if we run out of money?" "Then we'll figure something out. We always do." But Priya didn't know how. She'd exhausted every option, applied to every foundation, begged every charity. The only thing left was the unthinkable, reaching out to Rohan Malhotra, the man who'd abandoned them, who was now a billionaire if the tech blogs were accurate. But Priya would rather die than ask that man for help. The next morning, Priya was filling out medication charts when her supervisor Linda approached with an unusual request. "Priya, one of our major donors wants to meet you. He's interested in possibly sponsoring Anya's treatment." Priya's heart leaped. "Seriously? Who?" "He wants to remain anonymous for now, but he's waiting in conference room B. Can you take your break?" Priya practically ran to the conference room. Maybe this was it. Maybe someone had heard about Anya's case and wanted to help. She opened the door and stopped dead. Sitting at the conference table was Ron. Except he wasn't wearing his volunteer shirt. He was wearing an expensive suit, and his whole demeanor had changed from humble volunteer to powerful businessman. And Priya suddenly understood why he'd seemed so familiar. "Hello, Priya," Rohan Malhotra said quietly. Priya felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. "No. No, no, no. Please, just let me explain." "You." The word came out strangled. "You've been here. You've been volunteering here. You've been reading to my daughter." "I didn't know she was my daughter until last night." The room spun. "Get out." "Priya, please." "Get out." Priya's voice rose. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to show up after 8 years and I want to help. With Anya's treatment. I don't want your money. She's my daughter too." The words hung in the air like a bomb. "No," Priya said coldly. "She's my daughter. You're just the sperm donor who abandoned us when things got hard." Rohan flinched. "I deserve that. I deserve all of your anger. But Priya, she needs this treatment, and I can pay for it." "Why? Guilt? Some billionaire savior complex?" "Because she's mine. Because I made a terrible mistake 8 years ago, and I can't fix that, but I can fix this." Priya laughed bitterly. "You think money fixes what you did? You left me pregnant, Rohan. 21 years old, 2 months pregnant, working night shifts to save for a baby you didn't want. You sent me divorce papers while I was in labor. Labor. Do you understand that? I was alone in pain, bringing our daughter into the world, and your lawyer was serving me divorce papers." Rohan's face crumpled. "I didn't know you kept the baby. I thought when you said you'd handle it, I assumed. You assumed I'd get rid of her because that's what you wanted. Well, I didn't. I chose her. And I've been choosing her every single day for 7 years while you were building your empire. I want to make this right. You can't. There is no making this right. You missed her birth, her first steps, her first words, her first day of school. You missed her diagnosis, her surgeries, her chemotherapy. You missed everything, Rohan. And now you show up with your billions and think that fixes it. No. But it can save her life. Priya hated that he was right. Hated that her pride might cost Anya her life. Hated that after 8 years of independence, she needed this man. If I let you pay for the treatment, you stay away from us after. No custody demands, no visitation, nothing. You're just the anonymous donor. No. Priya stared at him. Excuse me. I'll pay for everything. All $300,000 and any other costs. But I want to be part of her life. I want to get to know my daughter. Absolutely not. Then I'm not paying. Priya felt rage flood through her. You're blackmailing me with our daughter's life. I'm asking for a chance to be a father. That's not blackmail. After what you did, you think you deserve that chance? No. I don't deserve it. But Anya deserves to know her father. And I deserve the chance to be better than the coward who ran 8 years ago. Priya looked at this man, this stranger with familiar eyes, and realized she had no choice. Fine. You can pay for the treatment. And you can visit Anya. But Rohan. Her voice turned to ice. If you hurt her, if you disappoint her, if you walk away from her like you walked away from me, I will destroy you. Billionaire or not, I will make you regret ever finding us. I won't walk away. You already did once. I was different then. Prove it. That afternoon, Rohan returned to the hospital, this time prepared to meet his daughter as her father, not just as Mr. Ron the volunteer. Priya had told Anya the truth, that Mr. Ron was actually her daddy, that he hadn't known about her, that he wanted to be part of her life now. Anya's reaction broke both their hearts. My daddy? You're really my daddy. Rohan knelt beside her hospital bed, tears streaming down his face. Yes, baby. I'm your daddy. And I am so sorry I wasn't here before. Where were you? I was making mistakes. Big ones. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. Anya studied him with those familiar hazel green eyes. Mama says you didn't know about me. Is that true? It's true. If I'd known, I would have come sooner. Do you love Mama? The question stunned them both. Priya turned away, but Rohan answered honestly. I did love your Mama very much. And I hurt her badly. I'm not sure if she can ever forgive me. Anya considered this seriously. Mama says forgiveness is hard but important. She says holding on to mad feelings makes you sick inside. Your Mama is very wise. Are you going to stay this time? Or are you going to leave again when things get hard? 7 years old and asking the question that mattered most. Rohan took Anya's small hand. I'm going to stay. I promise you, Anya. I'm going to be here for you and your Mama, for as long as you'll let me. Okay. But Daddy. Yes. If you break your promise, I'll be really mad. Like, throw all your books in the toilet mad. Rohan laughed through tears. That's fair. I deserve book throwing if I break this promise. Later, after Anya fell asleep, Rohan found Priya in the hallway. Thank you for letting me tell her. I didn't do it for you. I did it because she deserves to know her father. But Rohan? That title has to be earned. She can call you Daddy, but you have to act like one. I will. Priya, I know you hate me. I don't hate you. That would require caring about you. Right now, you're just the man paying for my daughter's treatment. Fair enough. But there's something you should know. What? I'm engaged. Getting married in 3 months. Priya felt something twist in her chest that definitely wasn't jealousy. Congratulations. Her name is Kavya. She doesn't know about you or Anya yet. Better tell her soon. Hate for your fiancé to be surprised by your secret love child. Priya. I don't care, Rohan. Marry whoever you want. Just show up for Anya. That's all I'm asking. But as Priya walked away, Rohan realized something terrifying. He wasn't sure he wanted to marry Kavya anymore. Because seeing Priya again, seeing the daughter they'd created, reminded him that once upon a time, he'd had everything he actually wanted. And he'd thrown it away for money and ambition. Now he had the money and ambition, and he'd never been more empty. Sometimes the people we run from are the ones we were always meant to find. Have you ever gotten a second chance you didn't deserve? Comment below, because this reunion is about to get much more complicated. Rohan sat in his downtown Boston penthouse at 2 a.m., unable to sleep, staring at the photo Priya had reluctantly sent him. Anya as a newborn, wrapped in a pink hospital blanket, impossibly tiny. The date on the photo, March 15, 2018. The same day he'd been in San Francisco pitching Malhotra Tech to venture capitalists. The same day he'd gotten his first major investment, $50 million that had launched his empire. While he was celebrating with champagne and congratulations, Priya was giving birth to their daughter alone. The guilt was suffocating. Can't sleep. Rohan turned to find Kavya Malhotra to be standing in the doorway of his home office, wearing silk pajamas, her perfectly styled hair somehow still perfect at 2 a.m. Just working. Rohan, it's the middle of the night. Come to bed. I'll be there soon. Kavya walked over and saw the photo on his screen. Whose baby is that? Rohan closed his laptop quickly. A patient at the hospital where I volunteer. Since when do volunteers get baby photos? Since the mother is a nurse there and she's struggling with medical costs. I'm considering sponsoring the child's treatment through the foundation. It wasn't technically a lie. Just not the whole truth. Kavya studied him suspiciously. You've been distant lately. Is everything okay? Fine. Just busy with a new AI project. Rohan, we're getting married in 3 months. If something's bothering you. Nothing's bothering me. I'm fine. But he wasn't fine. And Kavya knew it. After she went back to bed, Rohan pulled up the photo again. Anya's newborn face stared back at him, trusting, innocent, unaware that her father had abandoned her before she was even born. He had to tell Kavya the truth. But how do you tell your fiancé that you have a 7-year-old daughter you never knew existed with the ex-wife you never mentioned? The next morning, Rohan arrived at the hospital with his lawyer, Patricia Kim, and a check for $300,000. They found Priya in the cafeteria, eating what appeared to be her first real meal in days. We need to talk about custody arrangements, Patricia said, pulling out legal documents. Priya set down her fork. Custody? I agreed to let him visit, not share custody. Mr. Malhotra is Anya's biological father. He has rights. He gave up those rights when he abandoned us. Rohan held up his hand. Patricia, stop. That's not what this is about. He turned to Priya. I don't want to take Anya from you. I just want legal recognition as her father. Visitation rights, emergency contact, the ability to make medical decisions if you're unavailable. Why? Because I'm her father. And because if something happened to you, God forbid, I need to be able to take care of her. Priya hadn't thought about that. If she got sick, if something happened to her, Anya would go to her sister in California, someone Anya barely knew. Fine. Legal recognition. Visitation. But I have full custody. Agreed. Patricia looked annoyed but started drawing up paperwork. After she left, Rohan sat across from Priya. Can I ask you something? What? Why didn't you tell me you kept the baby? Priya laughed bitterly. Are you serious? Rohan, you told me to choose between you and the baby. You made it very clear that fatherhood wasn't part of your 5-year plan. So I chose the baby and let you go chase your dreams. But I sent money. Child support, through my lawyer. You never cashed the checks. Because I didn't want your guilt money. I wanted a partner, a father for my child. You couldn't give me that, so I did it alone. You shouldn't have had to. But I did. And you know what? I'm proud of what I built. Anya has had a good life. Hard but good. She knows she's loved. She knows her mama will fight for her. That's more than money can buy. Rohan felt the weight of everything he'd missed settling on his shoulders. Tell me about her. Everything. I want to know everything. So Priya did. She told him about Anya's birth, 27 hours of labor, complications, an emergency C-section. About bringing her home to a tiny apartment with second-hand furniture and hand-me-down baby clothes. About working night shifts while Anya slept, studying for her nursing certifications during naps, surviving on 3 hours of sleep and pure determination. She told him about Anya's first word, mama, her first steps, in a hospital where Priya worked with the other nurses cheering, her first day of kindergarten, Priya crying in her car afterward because her baby was growing up. She told him about the diagnosis, walking into the pediatric oncology ward where she worked and seeing Anya's name on the patient board, the world tilting, the doctor's words washing over her like drowning, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, aggressive treatment needed immediately. By the time Priya finished, Rohan was crying. I missed everything. Yes. You did. I'm sorry. Priya, I am so sorry. I know you are. But sorry doesn't give me back 7 years of struggling alone. Sorry doesn't give Anya back the father she needed. Sorry is just a word, Rohan. Then tell me what I can do. Please. Tell me how to make this right. Priya looked at this man who'd once been everything to her, brilliant, ambitious, full of dreams. The man she'd loved so completely that his abandonment had nearly broken her. You can show up. Not just financially, but physically, emotionally. You can be the father Anya deserves from this point forward. And you can accept that you'll never get back what you lost, but maybe if you work hard enough, you can build something new. I can do that. Can you? Because showing up is hard, Rohan. It's middle-of-the-night fevers and scary medical appointments and watching your child in pain and not being able to fix it. It's sacrifice and patience and putting someone else's needs before your own ambitions. Can you actually do that? Or are you going to run again when it gets difficult? I won't run. You ran before. I was different before. Prove it. Over the next 2 weeks, Rohan proved it. He showed up every day at the hospital. Not as the CEO who could buy the entire building, but as Anya's father. He read to her, played board games, learned about her favorite things, Bollywood movies, butterfly migration patterns, and mathematics. She was apparently gifted with numbers. He researched pediatric leukemia obsessively, talking to doctors, reading medical journals, understanding every aspect of Anya's treatment. He rearranged his entire schedule around Anya's chemotherapy sessions, holding her hand while the poison dripped into her veins to kill the cancer cells, distracting her with stories and jokes and promises of what they'd do when she was better. And slowly, Priya watched something she never expected, Rohan becoming a father. Mama, Anya said one evening after Rohan had left, I think Daddy really loves me. I think he does too, baby. Do you think he still loves you? Priya froze. Why would you ask that? Because he looks at you the way Prince Naveen looks at Princess Tiana in The Princess and the Frog. Like you're the most important thing in the world. Anya, your daddy and I aren't getting back together. He's engaged to someone else. But do you still love him? Did she? Priya didn't know. The anger was still there, the hurt, the betrayal. But watching Rohan with Anya, seeing him step up in ways she'd never expected, it was stirring feelings she'd thought were dead. It's complicated, baby. Grown-ups always say that when the answer is yes, but they're scared. Sometimes 7-year-olds were too smart for their own good. What neither Priya nor Rohan knew was that Kavya had hired a private investigator. And the investigator had just delivered his report. Rohan Malhotra was married before, something he'd never mentioned, to a woman named Priya Sharma. They divorced 8 years ago, same time Rohan's company was founded. And now Rohan was spending every day at a hospital with that same ex-wife and a 7-year-old girl who looked exactly like him. Kavya sat in her luxury apartment, reading the report with growing rage. Her fiancé had a secret ex-wife and a secret love child. And he'd never said a word. Kavya picked up her phone and made a call to her father's lawyer, one of the most ruthless attorneys in Boston. I need you to destroy someone. Completely and thoroughly. Can you do that? Who's the target? A nurse named Priya Sharma. And I want her to understand what happens when you try to steal someone else's fiancé. The first attack came disguised as a routine audit. Priya was called into the hospital administrator's office on a Wednesday morning, confused because her employment record was spotless. Ms. Sharma, Administrator Phillips said grimly, we've received complaints about your conduct. Complaints? From who? Anonymous reports claiming you've been accepting inappropriate gifts from hospital donors in exchange for preferential treatment of your daughter. Priya's stomach dropped. That's not true. I've never accepted inappropriate gifts from anyone. The reports claim you've been receiving payments from Rohan Malhotra, CEO of Malhotra Tech, who volunteers here under a false name. Rohan is Anya's father. He's paying for her treatment. That's not inappropriate, that's parental responsibility. Except you failed to disclose your relationship with Mr. Malhotra when he began volunteering. And there's question about whether you've been using your position as a hospital employee to manipulate his donations. Manipulate? I didn't even know he was volunteering here until 2 weeks ago. That's not what the complaints say. They claim you've been orchestrating this arrangement for months. Philip slid across a printed email, supposedly from someone claiming to be a hospital volunteer, detailing how Priya had seduced Rohan, revealed their secret love child, and was now extorting him for medical payments. None of it was true, but it was detailed enough to sound plausible. I need to put you on administrative leave pending investigation. What? No. I need to work. I need the income, and I need to be here for Anya. I'm sorry, Ms. Sharma. Hospital policy. 2 weeks minimum. Priya left the office in shock. Who would do this? Who would fabricate such detailed lies? The second attack came that afternoon. A social worker from Child Protective Services showed up at Anya's hospital room. Ms. Sharma? I'm Janet Cooper from CPS. We've received reports that your daughter may be in an unsafe environment. Priya felt the world tilt. Unsafe? She's in a hospital receiving cancer treatment. The reports claim you've been exploiting her illness for financial gain, that you're emotionally manipulating wealthy donors, and that you may be using her medical condition as leverage in a custody dispute. That's insane. There is no custody dispute. I still need to interview Anya and review her medical records. Janet Cooper spent an hour asking Anya questions in language carefully designed to sound innocent but search for abuse. Anya, confused and scared, answered honestly, yes, Mama worked a lot. Yes, sometimes Mama looked sad. Yes, there was a man named Rohan who visited now. After Cooper left, Anya was in tears. Mama, did I say something wrong? Is that lady going to take me away? No, baby. No one's taking you anywhere. This is just a misunderstanding. But Priya was terrified. CPS investigations could take months. And if they determined Anya was in an unstable environment, they could remove her from Priya's custody, which would be catastrophic given her medical needs. The third attack came that evening, in the form of a news article. Billionaire's secret love child scandal. CEO Rohan Malhotra accused of having affair with hospital nurse, hiding 7-year-old daughter from fiancé. The article had photos, grainy shots of Rohan entering the hospital, leaving with Priya, sitting beside Anya's bed. Someone had been following them, documenting everything, building a narrative that made Rohan look like a cheater and Priya look like a gold digger. Within hours, the story was everywhere. Tech blogs, gossip sites, local news. Reporters started calling Priya's phone, showing up at the hospital, demanding statements about her affair with a billionaire. Priya's phone rang. Rohan. I'm so sorry. I don't know how this happened. I do. Your fiancé found out about us. Kavya wouldn't. Wake up, Rohan. Someone is orchestrating this. The hospital complaints, the CPS investigation, the media leaks, this is coordinated. And the only person who benefits from destroying me is the woman who doesn't want you to have a secret family. Rohan was quiet. I'll talk to her. You do that. Meanwhile, I'm about to lose my job, possibly lose custody of Anya, and have my reputation destroyed. All because I let you back into our lives. Priya, I'll fix this. How? You going to buy off CPS? Pay the media to retract the stories? Rohan, money doesn't fix everything. You're about to learn that the hard way. Rohan confronted Kavya that night in their shared penthouse. Did you do this? Kavya was sitting on the couch, perfectly composed, drinking wine. Do what? The complaints against Priya. The CPS investigation. The media leaks. Was it you? I have no idea what you're talking about. Kavya, don't lie to me. I know you hired a PI. I know you found out about Priya and Anya. Oh, you mean your secret ex-wife and your secret love child? Yes, Rohan, I found out. Imagine my surprise discovering that my fiancé has an entire hidden family he never bothered to mention. I was going to tell you. When? After the wedding? Oh, by the way, honey, I have a 7-year-old daughter I abandoned before she was born. I didn't abandon her. I didn't know she existed. Because you ran away when your wife got pregnant. Rohan, do you understand how this looks? I'm supposed to marry a man who leaves when things get hard. That was 8 years ago. I was different. Were you? Because it seems like you're very good at keeping secrets and very bad at commitment. I'm committed to you. Are you? Because you've spent the past 2 weeks at that hospital, playing happy family with your ex-wife, while I'm here planning our wedding alone. Rohan felt trapped. Kavya was right. He had been spending all his time with Priya and Anya. But how could he not? Anya was his daughter. She needed him. I'm trying to be a father to my child. Then call off the wedding. Rohan stared at her. What? If you want to play house with your ex-wife, be my guest. But you can't have both, Rohan. You can't have me and your ready-made family. Choose. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. I've invested 3 years in this relationship. I've supported your business, attended your events, built our social circle. I'm not going to be humiliated by some nurse and her sick kid. The way Kavya said some nurse and sick kid made Rohan's blood boil. Her name is Priya. And our daughter's name is Anya. And they're not trying to humiliate you, they're just trying to survive. Then let them survive without you. Choose, Rohan. Me or them. Rohan looked at Kavya, beautiful, polished, perfect on paper, and realized something terrifying: he didn't love her. Maybe he never had. She'd been convenient, socially appropriate, someone who fit into his billionaire lifestyle without demanding anything real. But Priya and Anya had demanded everything real. And standing there, Rohan realized what he wanted to choose. Kavya, did you orchestrate the attacks on Priya? Yes or no? I protected my interests. Nothing illegal. That's not an answer. Kavya set down her wine glass. Fine. Yes. I hired lawyers to file the hospital complaints. I had my father's connections contact CPS with concerns. And I may have leaked the story to a friendly journalist. But Rohan, I did it for us. To protect our future. By destroying an innocent woman and terrifying a 6-7-year-old. By eliminating a problem that threatened our relationship. Rohan felt disgust wash over him. Anya isn't a problem. She's my daughter. A daughter you never wanted until 2 weeks ago. I never knew about her. And now that I do, I'm not going to abandon her again. Not for you, not for anyone. Kavya stood, her perfect composure cracking. Then we're done. I'll have my lawyers send you the ring back and bill you for the wedding cancellation fees. Wait. Before you go, you need to retract everything you did to Priya. The complaints, the CPS investigation, all of it. Why would I do that? Because if you don't, I'll hold a press conference explaining exactly who orchestrated this smear campaign. I'll detail every lie, every false complaint, every vindictive action. And Kavya? Your father's investment firm depends on its reputation for ethics. How do you think his clients will react when they learn his daughter fabricated abuse allegations against a cancer patient to punish her ex-boyfriend? Kavya's face went white. You wouldn't. Try me. They stared at each other in the penthouse that had never felt like home, and Rohan realized he was free. Free of a relationship built on appearances rather than love. Free to be the father Anya needed. Free to figure out if Priya could ever forgive him. I'll retract the complaints, Kavya said coldly. But Rohan? You're making a mistake. That nurse and her kid are going to bleed you dry. No. They're going to teach me how to be human again. After Kavya left, Rohan sat alone in the penthouse, looking out at the Boston skyline he'd conquered, and felt lighter than he had in years. He'd lost his fiancée and probably most of his social circle. But he'd gained something infinitely more valuable, the chance to be the father he should have been all along. Priya was packing up Anya's hospital room. Her daughter was finally being discharged. The first round of immunotherapy a success, when Rohan appeared in the doorway. I broke off my engagement. Priya kept folding Anya's clothes. Congratulations. Priya, please look at me. She turned, and Rohan saw exhaustion and something else in her eyes. Maybe relief, maybe fear. Kavya orchestrated everything. The complaints, the CPS investigation, the media leaks. I confronted her. She's retracting it all. And you think that fixes it? Rohan, I was suspended from my job. I spent a week terrified CPS would take Anya. Our faces were plastered across the internet as some scandal. You think a retraction erases that? No. But it's a start. A start toward what? Rohan stepped into the room. Toward us being a family. Real co-parents who work together for Anya. We are co-parents. You pay for treatment, I provide the actual parenting. That's not what I want. What do you want, Rohan? He took a deep breath. I want to be there for Anya's doctor appointments and school plays and birthday parties. I want to know her teachers' names and her favorite foods and what makes her laugh. I want to be the father I should have been from the beginning. Okay. You can do all that. And I want a chance with you. Priya froze. Excuse me. I want us to try again. Not jump into anything, just see if there's anything left between us worth saving. Rohan, you destroyed me 8 years ago. You left when I needed you most. You missed 7 years of our daughter's life because you chose ambition over family. And you think now, after 2 weeks of showing up, you deserve a second chance. No. I don't deserve it. But Priya, I'm asking anyway. Because I never stopped loving you. I buried it under work and money and relationships that didn't mean anything, but I never stopped. Well, I stopped. I had to stop, Rohan. Loving you while you were gone was killing me. So you don't feel anything when you look at me? Priya wanted to say no. Wanted to be cold and distant and protected. But she'd never been good at lying. What I feel doesn't matter. Anya matters. And I won't risk her stability for some romantic fantasy that you'll suddenly become the man I needed you to be 8 years ago. What if I already am that man? 2 weeks doesn't prove that. Come back in a year. Come back when you've been to every doctor's appointment, every school conference, every hard moment. Come back when you've proven you won't run when things get difficult. Then maybe, we can talk about this. Rohan nodded slowly. Fair enough. 1 year. I can do that. Can you? Because a year is a long time to keep showing up for someone else's needs. No glory, no public recognition, just the hard daily work of being a parent. I know what I'm signing up for. Do you? Because Anya's treatment isn't over, Rohan. She's got months of immunotherapy ahead. Months of side effects and hospital stays and scary moments. Are you ready for that? Yes. What about your company? Your board meetings and international deals and CEO responsibilities? I promoted my COO to take over daily operations. I'm stepping back to focus on what actually matters. Priya wanted to believe him. But she'd believed him before, and he'd left her broken. Prove it, she said again. Not with words or money or grand gestures. Prove it by showing up. Rohan proved it. For the next 3 months, he was at every single one of Anya's immunotherapy sessions. Not on his phone, not distracted by work, fully present. He held her hand when she was nauseous, distracted her with stories when she was scared, and stayed overnight when the treatments required hospitalization. He learned to braid her hair, badly, but he tried. He memorized her medication schedule. He knew which nurses she liked, which food she could tolerate after chemo, and exactly how to make her laugh when she was crying. He showed up to her school's virtual conferences, since she was immunocompromised and attending remotely. He learned her teachers' names, her favorite subjects, math and science, and helped her with homework during video calls. He researched pediatric cancer support groups and connected Priya with other parents fighting similar battles. He arranged for house cleaning services and meal deliveries so Priya could focus on Anya instead of household logistics. He paid off Priya's medical debt quietly, without making a big deal of it. And slowly, Priya watched him transform from the ambitious man who'd left her pregnant into the father Anya deserved. "Mama," Anya said one evening after Rohan had left, "I think Daddy's different now." "Different how, baby?" "He doesn't look at his phone when I'm talking. And he remembers things I tell him. And when I'm scared, he stays until I'm not scared anymore." Priya felt tears start. That's what good daddies do. Is he going to keep being a good daddy? Or will he leave again? "I don't know, baby. But I'm watching, and if he even thinks about leaving, Mama's going to have words with him." Anya giggled. "You mean you'll yell at him?" "I mean I'll remind him what's important. And if that doesn't work, then yes, I'll yell." 4 months after their confrontation, Priya agreed to have coffee with Rohan outside the hospital. They sat in a small cafe near the hospital, and for the first time in 8 years, they just talked. Not about Anya, not about treatment plans, just about themselves. "What was it like?" Priya asked. "Building your company?" "Hollow. I told myself I was chasing dreams, but really I was running from guilt. Every success felt empty because I knew what I'd sacrificed to get it." "You could have come back." "I thought you hated me. I thought reaching out would just cause more pain." "I did hate you. For a long time. But Rohan, I also missed you. Missed the man you used to be before ambition consumed everything. Do you see that man now? When you look at me?" Priya studied him carefully. "Sometimes. In moments. When you're reading to Anya or making her laugh or just being present. Then I see glimpses of the Rohan I fell in love with." "What about the rest of the time?" "The rest of the time, I see someone trying very hard to make up for lost time. And I appreciate the effort. But trying isn't the same as being. What do I need to do to move from trying to being?" "Stop trying so hard. Just be her father. Be the man who shows up not because he's proving something, but because it's where he wants to be." Rohan reached across the table and took her hand. "Priya, I want to be here. Not just for Anya, for you too." "Rohan. I know. 1 year. You told me to prove myself for 1 year, and I'm going to. But I need you to know, I'm not doing this to win you back. I'm doing this because it's right. And if at the end of the year you still don't want to try again, I'll accept that. But I had to tell you, you're still the only woman I've ever actually loved." Priya pulled her hand away gently. 8 months left. Let's see how you feel then. By month 6, Rohan had proven something else. He was good in a crisis. Anya developed a serious infection during her treatment, spiking a fever of 104 degrees, requiring emergency hospitalization and 4 antibiotics. Priya was working a shift when it happened, and by the time she got to the hospital, Rohan had already coordinated with doctors, arranged for the best infectious disease specialist in Boston, and was sitting beside Anya's bed, reading her favorite stories while she drifted in and out of consciousness. "You called Dr. Morrison?" Priya asked, recognizing the specialist. "He's the best. I didn't want to wait for the on-call doctor." "Rohan, Dr. Morrison charges $500 an hour." "I don't care what he charges." Anya needed him. Priya sank into the chair beside him, exhausted and terrified and grateful. "Thank you. You don't have to thank me for taking care of our daughter." "I do. Because 8 months ago, you weren't here. And now you are. And Rohan, I'm starting to believe you'll keep being here." He looked at her with those hazel green eyes that Anya had inherited. "I told you. I'm not going anywhere." They sat together through the long night, taking turns holding Anya's hand, monitoring her fever, and slowly watching the antibiotics work. By morning, Anya's fever had broken, and she woke up asking for Mango Lassi and Bollywood movies. As they left the hospital that morning, Priya realized something that terrified her. She was falling for Rohan again. Not the man who'd left her. The man he'd become. The father who showed up. The partner who could be counted on in a crisis. And she had no idea what to do about it. Month 8 arrived with Anya's latest scans showing no trace of cancer. Dr. Morrison delivered the news with cautious optimism. The immunotherapy has worked remarkably well. Anya is in complete remission. Priya burst into tears. Rohan pulled both her and Anya into a hug, and for the first time since the diagnosis, Priya let herself believe her daughter was going to live. Does this mean I can go back to school? Anya asked. Real school, not computer school? Not yet, baby. Your immune system needs more time to recover. But soon. Can we celebrate? Please. Rohan knelt beside her hospital bed. Princess, we can celebrate however you want. What do you want to do? Anya looked between her parents seriously. I want us to go to the butterfly garden. All three of us. Like a real family. Priya and Rohan exchanged glances. Baby, your daddy and I aren't. I know you're not together. But can we pretend? Just for one day? Please. How could they say no to that? The butterfly garden at the Museum of Science was everything Anya had dreamed about. Hundreds of butterflies from around the world flying freely in a warm, humid conservatory full of tropical plants and flowers. Anya, wearing a medical mask but glowing with joy, stood perfectly still as a monarch butterfly landed on her hand. Mama, look. He chose me. Priya snapped a photo, capturing the pure happiness on her daughter's face. The first time since diagnosis that Anya had looked like a normal 7-year-old instead of a cancer patient. Mr. Butterfly, Anya said seriously, thank you for visiting. Have a safe flight to Mexico. The butterfly seemed to wave its wings in acknowledgement before flying away. After the butterfly garden, they went to Anya's favorite Indian restaurant, the first time she'd been able to eat her beloved butter chicken in months without getting nauseous. This is the best day ever, Anya announced, mango lassi mustache on her upper lip. Better than Disney World? Rohan teased. I've never been to Disney World. Rohan and Priya looked at each other. Then we're going, Rohan said immediately. As soon as your doctors clear you for travel. Really? 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 We'll stay at the nicest hotel, go to all the parks, meet all the princesses. Can Mama come too? Of course Mama's coming. I wouldn't go without her. Priya felt warmth spread through her chest. Rohan wasn't just planning a trip with his daughter, he was including her, like they were a unit. Like they were a family. That night, after Anya was asleep, Priya and Rohan sat on her apartment's small balcony, watching the city lights. Thank you for today, Priya said quietly. Anya needed that. We all needed that. Priya, can I ask you something? What? Do you still see me as the man who left? Or am I someone new now? Priya was quiet for a long moment. You're different. The Rohan who left was so focused on success that he couldn't see what he was sacrificing. You're not that person anymore. So you trust me now? I'm starting to. Slowly. You've shown up for 8 months straight, Rohan. Through hard times, scary times, boring times. You haven't run. I told you I wouldn't. I know. But actions prove more than words. And your actions have been proving you're serious about being Anya's father. What about being your partner? Priya's breath caught. Rohan. I know. You told me to prove myself for a year. And I have 4 months left. But Priya, I need you to know, I'm not just here for Anya. I'm here for you too. And at the end of this year, I'm going to ask you to give us another chance. A real chance, not just co-parenting. And if I say no? Then I'll accept it and we'll figure out how to co-parent as friends. But I'm hoping you won't say no. Priya looked at this man who'd once destroyed her and had spent 8 months rebuilding everything he'd broken, not with money or grand gestures, but with daily presence and quiet consistency. Ask me when the year is up, she said softly. Not before. Fair enough. But Priya. Yeah. You should know, I'm planning to ask you to marry me. Again. With a proper proposal this time, not the rushed city hall wedding we had when we were young and broke. Rohan, we don't even know if we work together anymore. We work together. We're working together right now, raising an incredible daughter, supporting each other through impossible situations. The question isn't whether we work, it's whether you can trust me not to run again. Can I? Yes. Because I learned the hard way that chasing success without love is just expensive loneliness. And I'd rather have you and Anya in a small apartment than all the money in the world alone. Priya felt tears start. You're making this very hard. Good. You made me work for 8 months. I'm going to make you work for the last 4. Month 10 brought unexpected complications. Priya's sister Anjali called from California with devastating news. Their mother had a stroke. She was stable but needed someone to help with recovery. I can't leave my job, Anjali said. But Ma needs family, Priya. Can you come? Priya looked at Anya, who was thriving in remission but still needed monitoring. Looked at her job, which she'd just gotten back after the suspension. Looked at her life in Boston, which finally felt stable. I can't. Not right now. After she hung up, Rohan found her crying in the hospital cafeteria. What's wrong? She told him about her mother, about the impossible choice between being there for her mom and being there for Anya. What if I told you there's a third option? What option? What if I flew your mother here? Hired round-the-clock nursing care, set her up in a guest suite in my building, made sure she had everything she needed. Rohan, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. Priya, your mother gave birth to you. You gave birth to Anya. That makes her Anya's grandmother, which makes her family. And I take care of family. 2 days later, Rohan's private plane brought Priya's mother to Boston, along with a full medical team. He'd arranged for a rehabilitation specialist, a full-time nurse, and physical therapy in a beautiful apartment 3 blocks from Priya's place. When Priya saw her mother, she broke down. Ma, I'm so sorry I couldn't come. Beta, you have a child to care for. Rohan explained everything. Her mother looked at Rohan with approval. This one is different from the boy who left you. This one has become a man. Later, Priya's mother pulled her aside. That boy hurt you badly 8 years ago. Yes, Ma. But he's not that boy anymore. And Beta, you're not that heartbroken girl anymore either. You're both different people. Maybe these different people deserve a chance. I'm scared, Ma. What if he leaves again? Then you'll survive again, like you did before. But Priya, what if he doesn't leave? What if you spend your whole life protecting yourself from pain and miss out on happiness? Month 11, Rohan's company faced a crisis. His largest investor wanted to pull out, concerned about Rohan's distraction with family matters. The board called an emergency meeting, pressuring Rohan to return to full-time CEO duties or risk losing $200 million in funding. Priya found out when she overheard Rohan on the phone with his COO. Tell the board I'm not coming back full-time. If investors don't like it, they can sell their shares. After he hung up, Priya confronted him. Rohan, you can't sacrifice your company for us. I'm not sacrificing it. I'm prioritizing correctly. You could lose everything you built. I already lost everything once, when I chose the company over you and Anya. I'm not making that mistake twice. But $200 million is just money, Priya. It's not worth missing Anya's childhood. It's not worth losing a chance with you. I learned that the hard way. Priya realized in that moment that Rohan really had changed. The old Rohan would have chosen the business, rationalized it as providing for his family. This Rohan understood that providing wasn't the same as being present. I'm proud of you, she said quietly. Yeah. The man I married would have taken that meeting. You're not him anymore. Is that a good thing? It's a very good thing. On the 1-year anniversary of Rohan discovering he had a daughter, he took Priya to the same cafe where they'd had their first trying again conversation. 1 year, he said. I showed up. Every appointment, every hard day, every moment that mattered. I proved I'm not going to run. You did. So now I'm asking, Priya Sharma, will you give me a second chance? Not at marriage, not yet. Just at being your partner. Let me take you on dates. Let me earn your trust back completely. Let us try to build something real again. Priya looked at this man who'd spent a year transforming from the person who'd hurt her into someone she could trust again. Yes, she said. But slowly. I need time to believe this is real. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. Rohan reached across the table and took her hand, and for the first time in 8 years, Priya let herself hope. Hope that second chances were real. Hope that people could change. Hope that the family she'd built alone could become the family they built together. 3 years after Rohan walked back into their lives, Priya stood in a bridal boutique in Boston, trying on wedding dresses with her 8-year-old maid of honor. "Mama, that one makes you look like a princess." Anya clapped her hands. "Like Princess Jasmine, but with butterflies." The dress was simple but elegant, ivory silk with delicate butterfly embroidery on the sleeves. Not the rushed city hall dress from her first wedding, but something that felt like her, understated, meaningful, beautiful. "You think Daddy will like it?" "Daddy will love it. He loves everything about you." Priya's sister Anjali, who'd flown in from California, wiped her eyes. "I can't believe you're remarrying him. After everything." "People change, Anju. He's not the man who left." Clearly, the old Rohan would never have spent 3 years proving himself before proposing. The proposal had come last month, at the Butterfly Garden where they'd celebrated Anya's remission 3 years ago. Rohan had gotten down on one knee in front of Anya and Priya's mother, holding a ring that wasn't ostentatious or showy, just perfect. "Priya Sharma, I asked you to marry me once when we were young and didn't know what marriage meant. I'm asking again now that I understand. Marriage is showing up every day, especially when it's hard. It's choosing your partner over your comfort. It's building a life together based on trust and respect and love that grows instead of fades. Will you marry me? Not the billionaire, not Anya's father, just me, the man who learned what matters because you taught him." Priya had said yes through happy tears. Now, looking at herself in the wedding dress, she felt something she hadn't felt in years, complete joy without the shadow of fear. The wedding took place at the same temple where Priya's parents had married 40 years ago. Small, intimate, just family and close friends. No media, no society pages, just the people who mattered. Rohan stood at the mandip in traditional Sherwani, watching Priya walk toward him in her butterfly dress, and felt tears stream down his face. "Daddy's crying," Anya whispered loudly to Priya's mother. "Happy tears, beta. Those are happy tears." When Priya reached the mandip, Rohan took her hands. "You look beautiful. You look nervous." "I am nervous. What if you change your mind?" "Too late. We're already at the mandip." "Good. Because I'm not letting you go this time." The priest performed the traditional 7 steps around the sacred fire, each step representing a promise. First step, to support each other. Second step, to develop mental, spiritual strength. Third step, to share prosperity. Fourth step, to acquire happiness and harmony. Fifth step, to raise strong children. Sixth step, to enjoy life seasons together. Seventh step, to remain lifelong friends. With each step, Rohan and Priya remembered their journey, from young love to abandonment to rebuilding to this moment of choosing each other again, wiser and stronger. When it was time for the vows, Rohan spoke first. "Priya, I made vows to you once and broke them. I promised forever and delivered 6 months. I told you I loved you and then proved I loved my ambitions more. Today, I'm making new vows, and I will keep them until my last breath. I vow to show up. Every day, every hard moment, every time you need me. I vow to choose you and Anya over success, money, comfort, everything. I vow to be the father our daughter deserves and the partner you need. I vow to never run when things get hard, because I learned that running just leads to expensive loneliness. I vow to love you not despite your strength, but because of it. And I vow to spend the rest of my life proving that second chances aren't just possible, they're worth fighting for." Priya wiped her eyes, then spoke her vows. "Rohan, I vowed to love you once, and even after you left, I couldn't stop completely. I just learned to love the memory of who you were instead of the man you'd become. Today, I'm vowing to love the man you are now, the father who showed up, the partner who proved himself, the person who learned that wealth means nothing without love. I vow to trust you, even though trust is scary after being broken. I vow to build our family together, not alone. I vow to forgive the past while honoring how it shaped us. I vow to be your partner in all things, raising Anya, building our foundation, growing old together. And I vow to remind you every day that you're not the man who left, you're the man who came back and never stopped coming back." There wasn't a dry eye in the temple. When the priest pronounced them married, Rohan kissed Priya like it was their first kiss and their 1000th kiss all at once. "Ew, they're kissing," Anya announced to everyone. "But also, I'm happy they're kissing because now we're a real forever family." 5 years after the wedding, the Malhotra Sharma family stood at the opening of their newest Anya's Hope Foundation location in Chicago. The foundation had grown beyond anything they'd imagined, 35 locations across 15 states, helping over 50,000 families afford pediatric cancer treatment, housing, and support services. Anya, now 13 and cancer-free for 8 years, gave the keynote speech. When I was 7, I was dying of leukemia. My mama was working 3 jobs trying to afford my treatment. We were drowning in medical debt and running out of hope. Then my daddy came back into our lives. Not the daddy who left my mama pregnant, a different daddy who'd learned what mattered. He paid for my treatment. But more than that, he showed up. He showed up for chemotherapy sessions and midnight ER visits. He showed up for hard conversations with doctors. He showed up when things were scary and painful and looked hopeless. And my parents taught me something important. Showing up is love. Not the dramatic grand gesture kind of love. The quiet, daily, unglamorous kind of love that stays when things are hard. This foundation exists because my parents showed up for each other. Because my daddy learned that second chances require work. Because my mama was brave enough to trust again after being broken. We've helped 50,000 families so far. That's 50,000 kids who get to live because someone showed up with help. That's 50,000 parents who don't have to choose between food and medicine. But here's what I want everyone to remember. You don't need to be a billionaire to show up. You just need to care enough to stay when things get hard. To listen when someone's hurting. To help in whatever way you can. My daddy likes to say he built a company worth $800 million, but the best thing he ever built was our family. And that didn't cost money. It cost time, consistency, and choosing to stay when leaving would have been easier. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing that families like mine deserve help. And thank you for showing up. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Afterward, Priya found Rohan standing alone, looking at the wall of photos. All the families the foundation had helped, all the children who'd survived because someone showed up with resources and hope. You okay? Priya asked. I'm thinking about the version of me who left you pregnant. The version who would have looked at all this, he gestured at the foundation, at their work, at Anya greeting families, and seen it as a distraction from business success. That version of you doesn't exist anymore. Because you didn't let him exist. You forced me to become better. No. You chose to become better. I just gave you the chance. Rohan pulled Priya close. Best chance anyone ever gave me. They watched their daughter, healthy, thriving, using her own story to give hope to other families, and felt the kind of happiness that only comes from surviving hardship together. 10 years after Rohan discovered he had a daughter, Anya graduated high school as valedictorian, heading to MIT to study biomedical engineering. I'm going to cure cancer, she announced at her graduation party. Or at least make treatment more affordable so other families don't have to choose between rent and medicine. Rohan and Priya looked at each other with pride. Their daughter had inherited her father's brilliance and her mother's compassion, a combination that was going to change the world. That night, after the party, Rohan and Priya sat on the porch of the house they'd bought together. Not a mansion, just a comfortable family home with a butterfly garden in the backyard. You ever regret giving me a second chance? Rohan asked. Never. You. I regret everything that came before it, leaving you, missing those years, being too stupid to understand what mattered. But the second chance? That's the best thing I ever did. Second best. First was coming back. True. They sat in comfortable silence, listening to Anya inside packing for college, watching butterflies flit through their garden. Rohan. Yeah. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for letting me. 15 years after that night in the hospital when Rohan discovered he had a daughter, he and Priya stood at Anya's PhD graduation from MIT. Dr. Anya Malhotra Sharma had just defended her dissertation on affordable immunotherapy delivery systems, research that would make cancer treatment accessible to millions of families who couldn't afford current protocols. As she walked across the stage, Rohan and Priya held hands, both crying. We did good, Priya whispered. You did good, Rohan corrected. You raised her for 7 years alone. You taught her strength and compassion. I just showed up in time to help. You've been showing up for 15 years. That's not just anything. After the ceremony, Anya found them in the crowd. Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something. What's wrong? Priya immediately went into mom worry mode. Nothing's wrong. But I'm dedicating my research to you. To the parents who taught me that love means showing up. That second chances are real. That broken things can heal stronger than they were before. Anya handed them the dedication page of her dissertation. To my parents, who proved that the best love stories aren't the ones that never face hardship, they're the ones that face hardship and choose to stay anyway. Thank you for showing me that families aren't just born, they're built, day by day, choice by choice, moment by moment. Rohan broke down completely. 15 years of showing up, condensed into one perfect paragraph. 20 years after that hospital reunion, Rohan and Priya celebrated their 20th wedding anniversary, second marriage, with a family gathering that included Anya and her husband, their twin grandchildren, and over 200 families from the foundation. Speech, someone called out. Rohan pulled Priya close. 20 years ago, I asked this woman to give me a second chance I absolutely did not deserve. She said yes, but only if I proved myself. So I spent a year showing up. Then another year. Then another. And Priya, I'm going to spend every remaining year I have showing up, because you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Even better than your $800 million company, someone teased. Especially better than that. The company made me rich. Priya made me human. Priya took the microphone. 20 years ago, I thought second chances were fairy tales. That people don't really change, that trust once broken stays broken. But Rohan taught me something. People can change if they want to badly enough. And love isn't about never falling, it's about getting back up together. As the party continued, Anya pulled her parents aside. Thank you for not giving up. On each other, on our family, on love. Thank you for being worth fighting for, Priya said. And for teaching us that the best things in life are worth waiting for, Rohan added. Worth working for. Worth choosing every single day. They stood together watching butterflies, Anya's favorite, dance through the garden lights, three people who'd been broken and had chosen to heal together instead of separately. And as the sun set on their anniversary celebration, Rohan realized that the billionaire who'd counted his worth in money was finally measuring what mattered. Days shown up, 7,300 and counting promises kept, every single one lives changed, 150,000 families through the foundation relationships healed, the ones that mattered most. The investment that paid the biggest dividend wasn't his company. It was the day he chose to stop running and start showing up.